All right, let's get the music going and let us begin. I am overdue for this, like, massively. But what's funny is that I still have 2 weeks before this is due, from my perspective. So, fun times. It's time for the rating video for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. You're just getting the remake music. They apparently don't have the Rebirth soundtrack up on Spotify, so this is what you're getting. And no, I'm not YouTubing the Rebirth soundtrack because I don't care. I just do not care. Rebirth drained me. So here's the final rating video for the Final Fantasy Marathon. And 19 sessions, no cheats. Its story ended on a plus 75. The gameplay ended on a negative 10. I didn't like the gameplay of Rebirth. It had its moments, but it definitely was did not work out. Hell, Daybreak 2's been proving that, and that one has a lot of frustrating crap in it too. But anyways, just not in the gameplay, and the story, in the narrative, more so. Now, I know everybody loves this damn game, and nobody's going to agree with this review. I don't care. Because I'm not going to sit here and lie and tell you that this is a 10 out of 10 game when, at best, I think it's a decent, I'm not going to say that this is the GOAT when I think it's just decent, Which is, what a score between 60 and 80 actually is. This is a decent game. This is a good game. Just not the, oh my god, the best game ever kind of shit that some people posit, Anywho, let's begin. Then, starting with the story positives now. Brickwork was a triple positive for the brickwork in general, and I gave bonus positives to the brickwork in Junon, Gold Saucer, Cosmo Canyon, and Bugenhagen's study. All of those were just excellent. Excellent. The doodads were a triple positive. I know some people will probably say Bugenhagen's study really should have had a separate doodads positive. Maybe in a soft audit later. But regardless, I gave the animations 2 positives. I stand behind that. I gave the camera work 2 positives. I stand behind that as well. Not the best camera work I've ever seen, but definitely good. And not the best animations I've ever seen, but still really, really good, The humor was a triple positive, because yeah. Dialogue is a positive and negative scenario. It was great and awful in equal measure. Banter was well done in this one too. So that got a triple positive. The NPC chatter, that was 2 positives, because it was just consistently good. I guess I should quickly explain the difference I have between NPC chatter and banter. Banter is the party talking with each other. Whereas NPC chatter is the dialogue the NPCs have. Sense make? That's how I distinguish that. Music direction got 2 positives. Gameplay story integration was a triple. There are times where it's bad, where it's kind of stupid, but it's still worthy of a triple in my opinion. Background lore got a triple positive. Thanks mostly to the world intel stuff. I actually really like the world building this time around. It's honestly better than it's ever been since the OG FF7. heaven. And part of me wants to say it's better than that. There's a lot of interesting fleshing out of the world, and that helps increase the enjoyment of this story much more than any of the other FF7 works to date. And yes, I do include both Crisis Core and Remake in that analysis, right? It's honestly, if I were to rank the FF7 works that I've partaken in, obviously, from shittiest world building to best world building, it would probably go Dirge of Cerberus at the bottom, Advent Children second from the bottom. Then I'd have to think about it. Probably Crisis Core after that. At OG and Remake are kind of neck and neck. Actually, Crisis Core or Remake and OG are kind of all could be placed anywhere and it would be fine. And then Rebirth at the top. That's just how I see it with the world building. Then there's the use of the NPCs in sound design, which gave Rebirth some of the best Limblom effect I've ever seen. So, triple positive for Limblom effect. Because it's so good, in fact, that honestly, not only does it give it FF9 a run for its money, but it gives more than a few Trails games a run for their Mira as well. And I'm a Trails fan, so if I'm saying that, and I'm a Trails fan, so if I'm saying that, you know I goddamn mean it, because I would not say that lightly. Foreshadowing is actually done well. It hints at events pretty well. This time around, I'm pretty sure I said the foreshadowing was not that great in the Remake, and I stand behind that. Despite the fact that the story is stretched out, the pacing is actually rather smooth. This one shocked the shit out of me. The pacing of this Rebirth story is weirdly good. Because again, they're stretching out basically the first disc between the end of Midgar and the Forgotten Capital, and that's Rebirth in its entirety, and this is a thing that'll take you 60 to 80 hours. And yet, unlike in Remake, where it felt hair-pullingly stupid because they turned what should have been a 20-hour RPG into a 60-hour RPG, here it actually feels like the pacing justifies itself. So kudos there, honestly. I also felt the story sequencing was better this time around. As I did like the use of atmosphere and tone throughout. Good use of external continuity in regards to Remake. Whatever. We'll just fix it there. In regard to Remake, internal continuity is as good as it is terrible. Because there's some times where the internal continuity is actually really good. Like, the sequencing itself is actually good, but sometimes the internal continuity is just like, oh my god, will you stop that? But then there's also times where it's on point, so there you go. Voice acting was once again a triple impulse, leading us to 46 presentation positives. So there you go. Characters, let's get into it. Cloud, 2 positives. I feel like he is interesting, nuanced. His awkwardness is handled well and fits his character, and I feel that it's right from. I feel that pretty much right from the get-go. Tifa's soap opera shit notwithstanding, we'll get to it in the negatives. Sephiroth is well characterized in Chapter 1, and that increases the anticipation of him showing up later. So, yeah. Okay, this one's going to take some explanation. Tifa. Oh, Tifa. Okay, look. I loved her in Remake. And for the most part, that is kept. But in many ways, I feel she isn't as awesome as she could and should be. She is a good character, but it takes forever, in my opinion, to get there, and a lot of the story beats with her just drag her down. I mentioned in Cloud's Positive the Tifa soap opera bullshit at the beginning, right in the first chapter. After that soap opera shit hangs on her, in my opinion, hangs off of her, in my opinion, like a fucking cloud. No pun intended. It hangs on her like a fucking rain cloud, because where you're just wondering, okay, when is she gonna turn this into a fucking soap opera again? Now, to the writer's credit, they dropped that soap opera angle completely, but I feel like they really should have fucking just axed the soap opera shit from the first chapter. It's a square peg in a round hole. Hole badly. But again, we'll talk about it a bit more in the negatives when we get there. Barrett and his voice actor were both triple positives, because hell yeah. John Eric Bentley really nails the role. Oh, wow, just he shot up my voice actor performance list, you know. Then Aerith got a triple positive, because of course she did. Right from the start, she shows why I love her. She cemented her first positive when she tried to mediate and smooth over Cloud and Tifa's relationship in Chapter 2. Basically, Aerith saw the writing on the wall. Tifa's turning this into a soap opera. Let's cancel this soap opera, shall we? Fucking love that. That was beautiful. Well done, Aerith. And then, because she kept being sassy and quick-witted, she ended up earning her 3 positives overall. Red 13 is a delight in several of his scenes, and I love it. He got 2 positives because the voice acting, because I also mentioned that the voice acting sells the development. Credit to Max Middleman. Roche is as good as he is bad at this time, as he is entertaining, but is underdeveloped because he is underutilized. So, you were a cool idea, Roche, but wow, you kind of feel useless to the plot. I liked Rufus. Dio was actually kind of awesome. Listen, definitely more reasonable than his OG counterpart, who was just kind of a dick. That was kind of cool. Then there's Kate Sith, who is handled so much better than he ever was in the OG. He feels like a more organic part of the story. It feels like a more organic part of the story rather than an afterthought. Hell, in the OG, he was so much of an afterthought, Vincent, an optional party member, had more relevance. So, yeah. Cisne, for as brief of a time as we had with her, was actually kind of awesome, and I'm wondering if she's going to factor into Remake Part 3. Sid, he may not have a lot to do, but I like what they do with him, as it almost feels like they removed his more questionable elements, let's say. We don't go to Rocket Town and we don't meet Shara. I wonder if there's a reason for that. Hagen got a positive this time around, but that shouldn't really come as a surprise. And that's it. That's what, 23? Yeah, 23 character positives. Not great, but still good. Still good stuff. Now we get into more moments and stuff. And some pseudo presentation stuff. The story so far, cutscene, that's on the main menu, good. That's a really good one to get you caught up to speed on remakes events. The game's use of voice acting in the Nibelheim flashback is well handled, and lampshades the twist is we will be getting in Remake 3 all the better. Which is good. I actually like that. I like that. If you know, you know. If you don't, we'll get there in Remake 3. Cloud's encounter with Zangen in the flashback is funny. This is where I started writing down little dialogue exchanges that I loved. Of Tifa Zangen, Tifa will go far. Past Cloud. Yeah, right. Wait, present Tifa. Yeah, right. Wait, present Aerith. Anything to say for yourself? Present Cloud. I didn't know. Come on. I like that. Ditto the piano commentary with President Barry chiming in. Yeah, don't quit your day job. Considering I hate the piano minigame in this game, I'll take your advice, Barrett. Ugh. Anyways, I really like the scene where Cloud and Sephiroth wreck Materia Guardian. It has some nice hinting and storytelling. Then there's the scene where Sephiroth's mind starts to crack, which works a lot better in this version. The use of the music, the voice acting, and even the pacing of the scene make it the horrifying realization that it was always meant to be. Good stuff. Then there's the entire attack on Nibelheim, which is well handled and better than in the original, as the reasoning behind certain things is better explained. Even if it kills the pacing of the gameplay to do it, but you know what? I'm not going to ding the story just because, the gameplay was kind of irritating in that section. The intro, which I cut off at the end of Chapter 1, is great and really sets things up and even improves upon things from the original, earning it 2 positives. Would be 3, but Tifa... would have been 3 if Tifa hadn't decided this story needed to be a fucking soap opera for some stupid reason. Then there's the 2 grand gag from Chapter 3, which is honestly hilarious, and definitely adds to the humor nicely, as I was laughing every time it came up. Then there's the uniform gag in Junon, which was just funny. Then there's the parade pep talk, which is honestly just awesome. Not only showing off Cloud's awkwardness, but Aerith and Tifa's quick thinking. Good stuff. See, this is kind of shit is why I say that it's so the Tifa took so damn long, because she would have gotten multiple positives if you just removed the soap opera garbage. Then there's Cloud responding to the 7th Infantry about Roche by saying, the jackass on the bike? He's a jackass. That made me burst out laughing. I didn't think Cloud would deliver another full mark line, but here I am giving this gutbuster a triple positive. Then there's Cloud's farewell to the Midgar 7th Infantry. I honestly loved that because it was touching, and I feel bad for them now because, oh god, what's going to happen with them in Remake 3? Oof. You know what I would love for them to be in this timeline? Cloud starts up a mercenary service or a delivery service or something, and the 7th and members of the 7th Infantry actually get a job as delivery guys. is in that line of work, and actually make the Strife delivery service an actually good thing, like an actual viable business. Oh, I would love that. That would make me smile. Feels so damn hard. Then there's Junon in general, which is fantastic from a story perspective. It's the changes and expansions to the story he fit, and even set things up for later story beats, which is good. So, favorite section, triple positive. Simple as that. From a story perspective, I actually like the Queen's Blood tournament on the Shinra 8. It's honestly fun. It's actually a fun bit of filler. Then there's Red 13's disguise. I mean, enough said. It really... Alright, I'll admit it. I have a soft spot for the whole Cloud Jr. gag. Like, I felt it was kind of adorable. Barrett talking about Shinra building the reactor in Coral is honestly even better than the original. The voice acting, the music, and even the tie-in with the Yuffie DLC of Remake, like with Yuffie's reactions, is just awesome and warrants 2 positives. Then there's the entire sequence at Gold Saucer's entrance, that big dance number thing with Kate Sith and Dio. That was awesome. It was also an interesting way of introducing Kate Sith and Dio without it feeling off, because Dio is a showman. It loves to be a showy guy, which is awesome. Awesome, and well, Kate Sith is Kate Sith, you know. And then Dio earns another triple positive, because I adore the scene where he accuses Barrett of the massacre at the battle square. Dio throughout is being reasonable and hearing out Cloud and the others, and Cloud's defense makes sense, as does Dio's reason for not fully accepting it. Actually, what's funny is he kind of accepts that it's possible, but he can't take it on face value, which is actually really good. Good. This is honestly, in my opinion, and as crazy as this will sound, this is the best change they have done from the OG, hands down. And I don't remember if there's another one that's better, that I felt was better, but I'll remind, when it pops up, I'll probably be like, oh yeah, this. But this is definitely up there. It's like top 3 changes, easily. Barrett opening up about dying, hey, that was a good scene. 2 positives. The entire confrontation with dying is good. Right up. Right, even if the powers he displays is a bit head tilting, and the way it frickin' ends, but we'll get there. I like the Turk's side story during the hunt for the proto-relic in Gungaga. Okay, good look at the Turks' mindset and how they operate. The side quest Missing Mr. Birdie is an engaging dive into Barrett's character, and more resolution on the Dying storyline. Then there's Cloud translating Apony, the chocobo in Cosmo Canyon, and then by that I mean he guesses correctly, but still guessing. I kind of like that. I actually kind of dig that. That right. That was a nice and heartwarming, if pat, end to the side quest that introduces Glide to Chocobo. More on that in the gameplay negatives. I really enjoyed the planetology presentation, triple positive, just like it was in the original. I like the whole River of Lights bit. That was actually good. The Cave of Gi was very interesting. It was actually interesting as a story beat. and expanded more than it was in the original. Cool. Then there's the Fate of Seto. I actually weirdly find this better than in the OG. And I can sum up why by pointing out that it is a character moment not only for Red 13, but Bugenhagen as well. Granted, it kind of was for him in the original, for Bugenhagen in the original, but it's more so here. It's much more apparent that it's a character moment for him here. Here, as he comes to realize he dismissed the party's warning far too quickly. Very quickly, so, yeah. Which was the other part of the problem. He didn't really dismiss the party's warnings in the original. He was just like, yeah, that makes sense. Then there's Cosmo Canyon from a story perspective, so yeah, that's another triple positive. I still think Junon is a bit better, story-wise, has more epic moments, but Cosmo Canyon is no slouch. I do really like the flashbacks at the second proto-relic area in Cosmo Canyon, as it's a great reminder of what Barrett's team meant to each other and showing off their desire to visit Cosmo Canyon, even if only for the salt. They are especially nice at showing off Wedge's character, even if it is after he is already dead. More on that in the negatives. Cloud becoming a Moogle is the kind of dumb that I adore. So, yeah. The scene where the whole party meets Vincent for the first time is brief, but works better here than in the OG, in my opinion. And while I will say it's okay from a gameplay standpoint, the side quest Beneath Still Waters is a wonderful follow-up with the 7th Infantry, and a chance to hear Tara Platt use her time-skip Edelgard voice again. I mean, granted, that's probably just her voice, but you get my point. What? I've never shied away from the fact that I'm an Edelgard simp. Leave me alone. Was a nice treat, and one that I am very happy with, as it continues to show that they aren't gullible, and they're also affable. So, triple positive there. Then there's the side quest, Escape from Endless Writer's Block, which is honestly fascinating and sold by Barrett's enthusiasm in helping, since she is a children's book author and he's, you know, a dad. Triple positive there. Tifa putting Gus in his place was so damn satisfying. I mean, where the fuck's this Tifa been the whole time? You know. Loveless, played by the party. Already is awesome and well done. Triple positive there. Her works better than the play from the OG ever could, honestly. Then there's Aerith Son, which was good. I really liked it. I did not look up the other versions, and I really freaking should have. If at some point. I mean, basically when lore finally gets to this point, I'll do a soft... That'll be part of the soft audit. I will try to make a note to do that as part of the soft audit. A soft audit being, of course... whoops, we've added a do I agree with list, so let's see if it changes anything substantially so that I have to basically redo this video. So, there's that. But yeah, the Tifa version was amazing. Aging. So yeah, the version, her version of the gondola, and by extension the date, is perfect for an interesting reason. It's understated. It lets the characters' actions speak louder than their words ever could, and that's what I love about it. Triple positive. Rebirth's version of confronting Corneo is even funnier than remakes. Although, Red, you sure you want your teeth on his balls? Because he threatens to bite them off. Well, still a damn funny scene. I really like Rufus's entrance during the battle for naming rights. That was cool. Well, and so is Rufus and Elena's exasperation, which is always welcome. Then there's his boss fight doing like the one from Remake did, and containing lots of great characterization for him. So, triple positive there. This one might shock you. Kate Sith's betrayal in this version is a triple positive instead of a triple negative. It is handled way better this time around. There's no pointless posturing, there's no taking Marlene hostage. That's just none of that garbage. Hell, the party even immediately abandoned Kate and have another way to find the temple thanks to Vincent. So yeah, this is easily the second best update so far. Oh, I did mention another really well done update. I just marked it as the second best. I do think the DL1 is better, but even then, this is, if in just its sheer, well, no, even in terms of the gulf of improvement, yeah, I would say this one's second, but by like a tiny hair, honestly. Funny how two of the best changes have to do with Gold Saucer when you think about it, or at the very least take place at Gold Saucer. As much as I feel the trials in the Temple of the Ancients is padding, the attention to detail in the game menu is honestly a nice touch. As if you pause during their trial scenes, they actually are wearing their past outfits. Like Barrett's one arm is fully flesh. It's his injured version now at a point, so on and so forth. It's a nice touch. And then the sequence during them with Barrett is honestly kind of awesome, as we get to see his wife for the first time ever, and that alone is worthy of note in my opinion. The last thing worthy of note is everything past that was not very good in my opinion. It was either wash or bad. Speaking of, let's get into the negatives. Empty text for days. Triple negative for that, because Chadley and Mai just annoy the piss out of me constantly with that. There's audio balancing issues all over the damn place. There's cutscene incompetence. Competence in more than just Cloud and Tifa on the Shinra 8. We'll get there. Dialogue is simultaneously great and awful, as I mentioned, as is... oh yeah, they're right. There's bad use of external continuity in regard to Crisis Core. There's the internal continuity being as good as it is awful. The constant cutting back to Zack's timeline. Okay, this is going to take some explanation. I hate the fact that in 8 chapters we see it like 4 times, and the second takes 2 entire chapters to happen. And worse yet, it contributes nothing to the story in the first half, and I could extend that to the whole game. So I'm actually going to do that. It contributes nothing to the story, making one wonder what the hell it's doing here in the first place. It's not helped by the fact that it ultimately amounts to nothing interesting, and just leaves me more confused than intrigued. So, triple negative there. Which is funny, because that's actually something that comes up in Daybreak 2. I'm confused, who's Raxor's intrigued. But I won't get into that here. The plot ghosts. Fuck the plot ghosts. I don't even need to explain that. Triple negative. I don't like Mai. Hey, she is a useless addition to the story, and she does nothing but be a source of empty text and audio spam. Chadley at least tries to ground the Gilgamesh stuff of and be helping in terms of lore expansion. So, there you go. Kyrie, no, it's Kyrie, sorry. Stupid pronunciations. Kyrie was only mildly irritating in Remake, but here? Oh, I just want her off my screen. Off my fucking screen. Triple negative for being a huge waste of Erica Harlicher's talents. Seriously, what the fuck? Elena is a fucking load. Every single time she's on screen, she is arrogant, but has nothing backing that arrogance up at all. Roach is honestly a waste of time again. He is better utilized here than in Remake, but he's still, unfortunately, a waste of time. Here's another one I have to explain. The Chocobo stage. He is irritating to me. He pulls the Mr. Miyagi shit from Karate Kid, but with zero of the charm that Miyagi brought to the table. Seriously, he has his Billy cleaning his pool when we arrive. Then when we arrive, tasks us with catching his Chocobo Selena. You know, great Chocobo, but still. Makes us gather Choco Grass and then he has a frickin' racing task for us. Well, the only thing Billy wanted was info about his parents. You know, at least with Miyagi, we saw his karate skills and were willing to give him the benefit of the doubt. This fucker, on the other hand, we're told he is wise. He's an awesome, while his actions paint him as an old dipshit that isn't worth his salt. And honestly, the more I type about this asshole, the more he got a triple negative. I mean, look at how thick that paragraph is on the screen. Let me make sure. Yeah. Look at how thick that paragraph is. Look at how thick that paragraph is. It's like pretty much right in the middle here. There, I know you can't see my cursor, but like, are you fucking serious? Actually, hang on. Let me see something. Oh, maybe you can see my cursor. I've got capture cursor on. I don't know. If you can see my cursor, cool. But yeah, it's a thick thing, and it's like, oh my god. Yeesh. Yeesh. So yeah, that was a triple negative. Then, oh god. Oh, fuck. Then there's Vincent. Oh boy. Hey. Rebirth does no character dirtier than Vincent Valentine, in my opinion. How ironic that turned out the light. Hey, considering this is supposed to be the darkest character in FF7. Anyways, but yeah, no. Oh, that wasn't a complaint. That was just an observation. Yeah, I know. I know. I was just like, eh. Anyways, Rebirth does no character dirtier than Vincent Valentine. First, while his intro scene is cool, it paints Vincent as a Shinra stooge, and to me that is just wrong. Second, his beef with Sephiroth is questionable at best, and is not helped by the fact that we aren't told it at first. Then there's the fact that we are told nothing about him, making the audience rely on the rest of FF7's other content, which may or not be valid to this interpretation of the character in the first damn place. Every single other character, save for maybe Sid, who we do get a bit of characterization for, by the way, are characterized well. Even fucking Kate Sith had better characterization than this, for fuck's sakes. So, yeah. The blatant misuse of the character is a triple negative. Alright, so now we get into the moments. That's 26 presentation and character negatives. Still, could be a lot worse. Let's get into the let's get into the moments now. This is going to sound extremely petty, and I understand that, but Tifa confessing to Aerith that Cloud wasn't at Nibelheim 5 years ago is honestly borderline character assassination for both Tifa and Aerith. The whole point of Tifa not saying anything about this until Cloud's subconscious, as my alarm goes off, warning me I'm gonna have to go to work in an hour. There we go. Sorry about that. Anyways, the whole point of Tifa keeping quiet about this until Cloud's subconscious in the original was because of fear. If she's brave enough to say this to Aerith, then it paints them both as cowards, in my opinion. Then there's the whole heart-to-heart between Cloud and Tifa in Chapter 1, which is an unmitigated disaster. Cloud not wording things well, the hallucinations, and Tifa turning this into a soap opera. God, that fucking pissed me off. I could have been a lot harsher about it, though. But I wanted to see where it was going first, and yeah, it was a one-off thing, so it's just, yeah. And it didn't piss me off that much. It aggravated me to put Tifa, it aggravated me enough to give Tifa a frickin' potential negative, but that eventually got erased, as you saw with her getting a positive. Then there's the whole Wutai subplot, which just goes nowhere and is, for the most part, and is the most blatantly stupid thing in the game outside of the stuff in the Temple of the Ancients. So yeah, that was a triple negative. And then there's Cloud and Tifa standing around while those black robes get turned into monsters. What the hell? That actually fucking pissed me off because they stopped and watched. That was what pissed me off there. Tentacle attacks from Dyne. What the actual fuck, game? Speaking of, Palmer's timing on showing up to confront the party is so badly timed, it hurts. It actively ruins the Dyne scene, in my opinion. And, well, somewhat ruins it, but yeah. I also really don't like the entire unnecessary desert chase crap. We go immediately from Dyne's death to Palmer and his buffoonery, and then this stupidity. So yeah, tonal whiplash bullshit gets a triple negative. Then there's Oh Chicken, Where Art Thou, which was a mostly bog standard quest. Right up until the dark humor of us eating one of the chickens we were chasing, and Red 13 having an existential crisis about it. Moving on. Fuck. Okay, here we go. So here's the second of the points that I said we would get back to. The first was the Tifa soap opera shit. So, you spared Wedge in Remake only to reveal that he actually died at Shinra Tower. Then what the actual fuck was the point of sparing him in the first fucking place? Like, that's just wasteful at that point. Triple negative. God, what the fuck? Either have him survive or kill him off where he's supposed to die. Dumbasses. The only thing that stayed consistent between the OG and the remake with his death is what ultimately what the cause of death was. A big fall. Nibelheim being rebuilt in the OG was stupid and irritating, while here in Rebirth, it's an excuse to have NPCs be assholes for no real reason. It'd be one thing if it was a they act nice but are horribly evil type of thing. You know, the Star Trek type of thing. I mean, you know, it'd be cliche as duck, but understandable at the very least. But as is, the NPCs just act like dicks to Cloud and Tifa, which just makes Shinra look stupid since treating them well would make them lower their guard. This is once again something that as I'm typing it out, I feel it deserves there's multiple negatives. But this time, I only gave 2. It bugs me more than it really should, and it feels arbitrary. I didn't quite feel it warranted a triple, but yeah. God, you were so close to being good with this Rebirth, with the whole treatment center thing, but you fumbled the ball hard. Ugh. Speaking of fumbling, the excuse given for why we have to fight Vincent is all kinds of wrong. First, it's an excuse to fight so that we can have fake drama. Second, it's pointless on every level because no matter what justification you give, if we've had dozens of examples from before, and third, and most damning of all, this is character assassination for Vincent. Vincent is a victim, so why the actual fuck is he acting like a Shinra lapdog? Triple negative. Then there's Chapter 11, which is honestly my pick for the worst chapter story-wise, hands down. Nibelheim could, and arguably should, have been fleshed out to make it more of an impactful and character-defining moment for both Cloud and Tifa. But it just isn't. While I really don't want to, I feel, with how many negatives are already on the board for it, and the fact that the side quests do nothing to circumvent the garbage, yeah, I decided to give the chapter itself a triple negative. Which pretty much means Nibelheim technically got 5 negatives. But anyways. Then there's Aerith showing concern for Sung in the temple, which never worked, but in the original this was sidestepped by having Aerith declare that neither Shinra nor Sephiroth were going to get the Promised Land. If she had anything to say about it. Yes, she was still crying in the OG, but that can be chalked up to her being a caring person. Here, Aerith seemed more willing to see Sung as the enemy, and honestly, if they were going to keep this, they should have either A, kept the declaration, or B, fleshed out Aerith and Sung's relationship, instead of wasting time, effort, and budget on Billy from the Chocobo Ranch and Johnny of all fucking characters. Instead of wasting our time with Billy and Johnny, give us a fucking flesh out Aerith and her friendship with frickin' with Sung. God damn it. Then there's the trials being blatant padding as shit falls all over my desk, interrupting me. The trials are blatant padding, and I hate them. They drag out what is already a dungeon that by this point has already overstayed its welcome, and that sucks ass. Not helped by the fact that prior to this dungeon, the stretched out nature didn't feel like it was. Right up until the temple, which lasts hours when most other sections are like 1 to 2 hours at absolute most on the long side. But the Temple of the Ancients took 6 hours or some bullshit? It was fucking terrible. I was like, are you kidding me? Then there's the Temple of the Ancients in general, story-wise, which was just a giant waste of time. And while that alone wouldn't be that bad, what makes it suck here is the fact that we traded out finding out Sephiroth's plan for padded out garbage instead. Yeah, triple negative. I mean, we kind of learned Sephiroth's plan, but it's like, fuck off. Then there's the Sephiroth speech about fate and the multiple worlds thing, and God, it's just awful, as it's just the writer's excuse for this being both a remake and sequel, and it just doesn't work. This may get fixed in R3, but yeah, triple negative. Then there's Aerith's death. Which I was so pissy about, I typed out one part of it wrong. It's so much worse done here by a large margin. At first, you think they are going to go through with it and make it like the OG, but then psych, Cloud blocks Sephiroth's sword, but then double scythe, Aerith dies anyway. The latter is what I take umbrage with. If as it just screams, then what was the fucking point? So triple negative there. Also, Sephiroth as the final boss. Yeah, second verse, same as the first. Applies here just as in Remake. And then there's the ending. It's not good. It's overlong and honestly feels like the second most blatant to be continued in the whole series. Would be the first, but 13-2 exists, so no. Not to mention the overly annoying Aerith's ghost shit during it. And the outro is just too hard left turn, as chapters 13 and 14 are where the story starts, or it's hard shitting the bed, and I absolutely hate it. 68. 8 story negatives. Now, let's move on to the gameplay positives. Oh, there's a lot, so let's get through. I will try not to waste too much time. Music was a triple positive, but there was no individual songs that I ended up really liking this time. Yoshi drums, decent options. I like the save data bonuses, both from playing through Remake and Intermission. Those are damn worth. Playing through those is damn worth it for the bonuses in Rebirth alone, in my opinion. Gameplay story integration was a triple. Mid-mission checkpoints were a double. This game's version of parrying is actually kind of fun. The whole party gaining XP, even if they're inactive, good stuff. I like that. Core combat was a double positive. The synergy attacks are a triple positive. I liked the combat animations and the summon animations. I liked the spell effects. I felt the power progression curve and difficulty curve. Well, the power progression curve was a double. Difficulty curve was a triple. The power progression curve would have been a triple if the whole swapping weapons, actually meant something. What is this? Oh. The boss design was a double positive. So that's cool. Triple actually. Sorry. Triple positive for the boss design, despite some bosses being dicks. Looking at you, Tomberry King, Odin, and then the Reno and Rude fight. I do think this is some of the best boss design of the series. There's some actually good dungeon design. I like the battle folios. They're not as great as they can be, but they nevertheless provide some good kit. I find the itemization is really well done, so double positive there. The varied playstyles are back. I gave Cloud 2 positives for his playstyle. Playing as Sephiroth in Chapter 1, that was damn fun. I like Aerith as a spellcaster. I know a lot of people say she's like the worst character, and she kind of is, but she's still fun to play as, in my opinion. You're not gonna be dealing with high level threats with her, but as the party leader. But yeah, Barrett is good as a ranged fighter. Red 13 is honestly fun to play as, if a bit unruly. Yuffie's playstyle was as it was in the her DLC and remake. That's good. And yeah, I liked the tutorials, the tutorialization, and the info in game got 2 positives. I like the mini-map, and I feel the maps of the area and region varieties are actually good. They were so good I gave those 2 positives. As they have enough features, and they have uses to make some of the more annoying areas easier to navigate. For the most part, anyway. There's good fast travel. I like the overworld design. Now, while this game doesn't have an overworld in the traditional sense, I do feel there's enough of a good distinction between town, dungeon, and world to warrant giving credit to the latter's design. There's an excellent reward system that is region specific, and you can travel between the regions after completing a side quest. That's in the Junon region, as in the second region, which, on top of that, each region has its own pool of intel points, which means you will never be out of intel points until you bought all of Chadley's development stock of materia in a specific region. So you won't run out of points in the grassland, for example, until you buy all of the developed materia from Chadley in the grasslands. Ditto Junon, and so on and so forth. I liked riding around on chocobos. That was a triple positive. I also liked the mountain chocobo. Oh, that one was actually kind of interesting, and also helped. It also helped that you don't that the choco you don't need to use the choco whistle when you encounter something like that. And encounter a wall you can that the mountain chocobo can climb up, which is cool. And while Cosmo Canyon's variant wasn't all that great, Selena the Ocean Chocobo is best bird, don't at me. Her Choco Jet ability is fucking awesome, and getting around on her is just a blast. No pun intended. And as is such, like her mountain counterpart, she gets triple positive. Then there's a whole bunch of the quality of life improvements, which are just increase the overall experience. It's not the best quality of life I've ever seen, but worthy of note. Queen's Blood is interesting until it sucks. Pirates Ahoy is a fun little mini game. Then there's Galactic Saviors. What's this? A fun Unreal shooter at Gold Saucer? Why, yes it is. Jokes aside, it really is a fun little mini game, and I liked it. 3D Brawler is my pick for the best mini game. As it's way better than this version. This version requires skill and is not dependent on RPG practically at all. The opponents all had patterns, and they seem to follow them almost to a T. There is some RNG in terms of which one you do, but there's still skill involved and reflexes, which is good. Triple positive. The intel fights were cool. I liked the summon fights. I really liked the summon fights, with particular note going to Titan, Phoenix, Alexander, and Bahamut Risen, with Kujita getting 2 positives, as it is. I liked fighting the Materia Guardian in Chapter 1. That was pretty cool. I gave the intro a triple positive on the gameplay. Unlike with the story, I don't think the one negative aspect of the gameplay is enough to drag this one down, because, there's a difference between a single section where the pace grinded to a halt for about 2 minutes, and soap opera drama, There's kind of a gulf of difference there in terms of how bullshit it is. So, yeah. I liked fighting the Quetzalcoatl, the classified intel battle against Quetzalcoatl. Fighting Rude and Elena was kind of cool. I really liked fighting the Mithril Golem. Despite taking me forever and 9 million years to beat, he still was a fun and engaging boss, weirdly enough. I slogged through his mega defenses, but yeah. And also his weak points were not hard to hit. No, not even the spine. Fine. Also, the said weak points were not an instant I win button, which helped. I also love the section where Cloud fights alongside the Midgar 7th Infantry. Oh man, that was just a fun little fight. 2 positives there. I liked fighting Roche on his bike, weirdly enough. I liked doing the Queen's Blood tournament on the Shinra 8. It's honestly well designed, and none of the opponents And its init feel as cheap as the level 3 rando and calm I faced, which helps immensely. Also helped by the option to forfeit if you hate Queen's Blood. Genova Urgent, that was the equivalent of Genova Birth. That was a fun fight. As was Specimen H1024. Or, that was a fun and challenging fight without being cheap. The Cave of the Gi was actually an interesting and fun puzzle dungeon. Triple positive there. As was the fight with Ginatak. Much better boss this time around with varied attacks, interesting attack pattern, and just a sense of tense but fair fun, even with his Doom attack in the later stage of the fight. So, yeah. Gears and Gambits is honestly quite fun, if irritating as fuck. It requires strategy, but is actually kind of fun. And that's the Cosmo Canyon Proto-Relic minigame, if you're wondering. Then there's the first round against Gilgamesh, which actually was kind of fun. The Jabberwock was a fun little side boss. Catching Selena the Ocean Chocobo is interesting, at least when you realize the gimmick. Lost Number, known here as Forgotten Specimen, is as fun to fight as he was in the OG, so 2 positives there. Roche Round 2 was also 2 positives, because in a few ways he reminds me of the Rufus 1v1 in Remake. Though not as fun. Still, good fight. Gilgamesh Round 2, second verse, as awesome as the first, with your whole party this time. The 4 pirate treasure fiends, as I call them, are set of 4 fun and engaging optional fights, and they all collectively got a positive. I like the QTEs during Loveless. I know everybody's just, oh, QTEs, go away. But I think that's a little premature. Root and Elena Round 2 is honestly just as good as Round 1, some cheap shit from Elena notwithstanding. Then there's the rematch with Rufus. You want to talk second verse same as the first? Well, this is a great example of it, as everything I said about the fight in Remake rings true here. While the magic of it being the first time is not here thanks to Remake, for good reason I'd like to add, this is still a damn fun and interesting boss fight that even punishes you for taking the exact same approach you did in Remake. Well, it punished me for taking the exact same approach I did in Remake, which was actually kind of, that was actually kind of interesting, and I kind of loved it. With extra points for his gameplay story integration, so that was a triple positive there. I did like fighting Titan and Bahamut Arisen at the same time on Gilgamesh Island. That was pretty fun. And so that was triple positive there. If for no other reason than the fact that you can have a mirror match of Bahamut Arisen versus Bahamut Arisen. Ditto the Kujita and Phoenix fight. Right. That one was for Phoenix Flame fooling me, because I took down Kujita first, right? And then Phoenix used Rebirth Flame. Now, what's funny is that you might think, oh, that's blah, 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 blah. Yeah, but it's Phoenix. What the hell were you expecting? What would be the reaction, you know? Then there's Odin and Alexander. I may be bitching about the fight with Odin in the negatives, but here he fights fair. And he also fucks off on occasion, so you don't have to constantly worry about him. And shockingly, he fights way more fair than he does in his solo fight, warranting a triple positive for the fight with him and Alexander. Now, here's something funny. Of all the picks for best boss fight in the game, Gilgamesh was not who I was expecting to achieve it. Right? I wasn't expecting Gilgamesh to achieve it. But that he does. But here we are, you know? In all the ways Odin was a cheap asshole, Gilgamesh is awesome in his final round. let's start with the fight itself, which is helped by the fact that he is fair and, for the most part, has enough variation in his attacks to keep you on your toes. So that's a triple positive there. Then there's the multiple points in which he ramps up the difficulty. Yes, this singular boss fight has its own difficulty curve. Wrap your head around that for a second. Right. Then there's I guess I was wrong. There is one song that got multiple positives, because then there's, in my opinion, the best version of Battle on the Big Bridge I have ever heard. Yes, this is my favorite one, and yes, it's a triple positive. Oh, I loved the Gilgamesh fight. That was awesome. Then there's Genova Lifebringer, which I also thought was an awesome fight, despite some annoying bullshit that she pulls, like HP barriers and regular barriers. And then I'll go ahead and give you Cloud and Zack versus Sephiroth is an awesome fight, and one that honestly is great payoff for the constant cutting to Zack's timeline. It just doesn't make it not pointless, because, we weren't really improving Zack's stats or anything. He's literally just a character we walked around as a couple of times, which doesn't help. Probably would have worked better as a bookend type deal. And, okay, you got me, game. Cloud and Aerith versus Sephiroth is a good final battle. I really only give this out of obligation. Chapter-based New Game Plus is okay if dry, and I gave Viscerality. Alright, let's get into the negatives now, because we've got 149 of these damn things to go through. Let's get started, shall we? So, where the fuck is my stuff from Remake game? Just gonna start there. Then there's the menus, which not only feel kind of clunky to me, but lack several bits of info yet again. There was one character that I didn't like playing as, and that was Kate Sith. He's just not fun to play as, in my opinion. It is nowhere near as bad as he is in Dirge, but honestly, I feel like he would work better if he was a slow but hard-hitting fighter. As is, he's just boring to play as. He's strong, but he is not fun, in my opinion. Okay, this one might seem pretty petty, but the weapon skills do not compensate for the horrendous way in which the game tries to de-emphasize stats. The issue here is that there is no way to mitigate this like there was in Remake. In Remake, it felt like they designed it so that the stat differences were more moot. Here, there are weapons that are weaker by magnitudes of stat differences. For example, I got a weapon for Tifa in the Temple of the Ancients that was going to weaken both her attack and magic attack stats by 72 and 57 respectively, taking skills into account here. And that is just unacceptable, as that severe of a drop up is still noticeable in this game if you're paying attention. So yeah, triple negative. Remake got a pass for that because this was mitigated by how upgrading weapons worked in that game, like I said. You actually were upgrading your weapons in Remake. Here you're basically just swapping skill sets, and I don't even think the skill sets are that interesting. Then there's Queen's Blood difficulty spikes, which just come in way too fast. Then there's the fact that the game forces you to play it as part of the Coral Prison stuff. Remember, the tournament on the Shinra 8 was skippable. Then there's the puzzle-based spin-off, which I didn't like, Card Carnival. I really didn't like the piano minigame. Really didn't like it. It basically made me say, yeah, no, consider all of the Persona dancing games vetoed. Because they are. Just straight up, they're all vetoed. So that was two negatives because Costa del Sol shoved it down my throat. Then there's the crunches minigame, which cheats. It's too unforgiving immediately and is extremely finicky with the timing. Yes, minigames should be challenging, but that challenge should not come come from the minigame cheating. My opinion. I actually read a post about that on social media. Speaking of way too unforgiving too quick, Musclehead Coliseum, good fucking god. Cheap nonsense in Battle 1, a fucking white moose in Round 2, and Round 3 is set to level 39. Yeah, triple negative there. Oh god, and then there's the one everybody's gonna hate me for, Chocobo Racing. Fucking Chocobo Racing. In the OG, you could reasonably get by with a bit of skill and prep. Here, the AI cheats. It's rubber band AI, and just like Queen's Blood, the crunches, and Musclehead Coliseum, the difficulty is set to asshole right from the beginning. I will acquiesce and say Blitzball sucks ass way more than this, but since I don't even remotely understand how people like this version, I have to give it a triple negative. Then there's Moogle Mischief, which honestly just kind of more collectively pissed me off. It's fine for the first 4 rounds, but the 5th round was utter garbage and got a triple negative, with round 6 being no better. And then there's the individual Moogles pissing me off. Starting with Molala. As she is obnoxious, her pathfinding is atrocious, and her general knack of wasting my time was a triple negative. Molulu has the same pathfinding issues and is just as frustrating. Mosh was also obnoxious with his wind blades, which have wonky hitboxes. X's. The rest were fine. Then there's Glide to Chocobo. Oh god, Glide to Chocobo. So it can fuck right off. It's obnoxiously bad. It can fuck off with its obnoxiously bad controls. Those and difficulty spiking, meaning that's just plain unfair. The controls alone are a triple negative. Round 2 was worth 2 negatives, and round 3 was worth a frickin' triple as well. 8 negatives for that. God, I hated that. And then there's the game being obsessed with making minigames required for 100% in the worst way possible. Namely, making you have to play minigames for side quests. A lot. If I liked the minigames, this would be fine. Awesome even. But since I fucking despise the minigames, it just makes the side quests as design not work and worth a triple negative. The game once again has several instances of being turned into a walking simulator, so that ended up getting a triple negative out of me. Then there's the railroading. Not quite as bad as Remake, but oh god. It's complete with a quest as one can start in Chapter 7, but can't finish until Chapter 9. Then you have Chapters 13 and 14, which accelerate the railroading to insane levels. So yeah, triple negative there. Then there's travel time being obnoxious if you're going for 100%. And if you're only going for the MSQ stuff, it's fine. But the game heavily encourages you to do the side content. And then there's terrain issues, which happen quite a bit and make traversing the world less fun than it should be. Climbing on certain terrain, and so that got a triple negative because there's just so much terrain that just sucks. The camera fucking pissed me off, so that was a double negative. So, the lead party falls and it's game over. This is the Final Fantasy X shit. However, it's not as bad as in Final Fantasy X. And what keeps this from multiple negatives here is the mid-mission checkpoints. So, there you go. Flying enemies are really irritating if I don't use Barret, which kind of sucks. Then there's specific enemies. He's like Sholopod, and its World Intel variant Shankalopod. Shankalopod. God damn it, these names. That fucking annoying spinning attack and their shells make using melee more bothersome than it should be. This is also why I hate all variants of the returning Terpsicholes. Then there's Crown Lance, which can eat my entire ass for being next to impossible to hit, even with magic. Yeah, triple negative there. Then there's audio spam issues galore. I only gave one? You know what? I probably screwed up somewhere, didn't I? No? Only one? Yeah, actually, I think only one is really warranted. We'll stick with that. We'll stick with one. So yeah, there's some audio spam. The stats of fetish shenanigans again. Frog is still annoying, in my opinion. Stun can fuck right off and be a triple negative. I hate the encounter design. It's a triple negative. Okay. Now we gotta get into these. Oh boy. Okay, so our first awful boss is Odin. Fighting Odin in the simulator is just god-awful. His gimmick is that he ends you if you take too many of his hits. But he adores cheating and countering you constantly, which leads to him using Zettetsuken, in which, you guessed it, is an instant game over. Which is also not mitigated by reducing his power via the summon crystals or lowering the difficulty, which is another 3 negatives. And then there's Zettetsuken itself, which is a party wipe, which, as mentioned above, is instant when he uses it, which is all the fucking, which is really bad for another triple negative. Then there's, and yes, it keeps going. Then there's the fact that instant death preventing equipment does fuck all to protect you from it. This is by far the worst aspect, and as such, it's yet another triple negative. I hated it. Then, there's Nibelheim Cloud being barely able to move in Nibelheim while it's in flames. The World Intel Phenomenon quest, as in the grasslands, can burn in hell. This is the first Proto Relic quest. I really didn't like it. It felt like a difficulty spike from hell, and it's just no. Then there's the Fort Condor minigame required for the Proto-Relic in Junon, which can eat my ass, this as well. The minigame itself is fun, right up until you realize that Rebirth expects you to have played and possibly mastered it in the remake DLC. Ouch. Then there's the difficulty cliff that is round 4, so that one was a triple negative, and with an extra special that shall fuck you to the round in general. There's the difficulty cliff, and then there's round 4 in general. Then there's Bottom Swell, or Terror of the Deep, as he's called here. Triple negative. Wow, I really could not spell hell, apparently. Ugh. Anyways. Then the Kyrie's Merkson was fine until I heard it consistently. Yeah. Also, I hate fighting those white mooses during that quest. I really don't like the Calling All Frog side quest. As the fight as a frog is miserable, and the minigame after is a bit too touchy for my liking. The rhythm during the parade minigame is fine, but the fact that hitting retry means having to talk to the commander every time and skip the cutscene every time you hit retry makes it nowhere near as good. I honestly felt the version of the minigame in Remake was way better, which was the dance-off. Grasptropod can go to hell. Well, he was an irritating ending fight. I felt Dyne was too much of a cheap asshole, and the tentacle attacks were wrong-headed and just what the fuck. I hate the Cactuar minigame. I hated the first round of Yuffie versus them. I hated Tifa, and I hated Yuffie versus them, and I hated Aerith versus them. I don't remember if I gave more negatives for it below, but I guess we will see. Okay. Alright. I need to go full cam for a second. Because I need to explain this. Is this the right one? No, this is the wrong one. Shoot. What? Oh, whatever. Never mind. Actually, no, I can show my dual sense is right here. Or I can just show you with that. It's hard to see. It's hard to see, but there is a little bit of damage on my dual sense. That's because I got angry at the next aspect that we're gonna the next aspect that got negatives. Specifically, Tomberry King. He's a cheap asshole that needs to fuck right off. I have never encountered a boss that has pissed me off as much as this one until in this very game, but it's already been ranted on in this document, and I've hated him for several reasons. So the fight itself is a triple negative because it's fucking irritating. Then there's there's its adoration with stop and instant death, which is just frustrating. I know Tomberry, but still, hell, even a Tomberry is slower with its bullshit than this. Also, which also somehow took one of my party members out of the fight permanently in one attempt, which was just what the fuck. Then there's the constant spam of Rancor, which stuns you and does multiple bits of damage, and the Washtub variant, which was worth another 3 negatives. Then there's the Rubber Band AI. Hope you can pay attention to the entire battlefield, because if not, sucks to be you. Triple negative there. Not even Hugo from Final Fantasy XVI angered me this much, and I threw my controller during that fight. Right? Here, I threw my controller and headset at... That should say damaging both. Because, yeah, this is a new headset I'm wearing because I had to replace it. Then there's Crimson Mirror Mark II, which is cheap and annoying and does way too much damage IMO. Oh Chicken, Where Art Thou, which we mentioned in the story negatives, is boring to play through. And then you're rewarded with that. Yeah. Box throwing with Kate Sith is wonky and kind of hard to aim. Shinra Mansion is an obnoxious puzzle dungeon that is straight up padding, triple negative. I didn't like fighting Galleon Beast. I thought it was kind of crap. The side quest, My White-Haired Angel Can Die in a Fucking Fire. The first part is fine with locating the white cat at Fluffy, but then there's the slowest molasses escorting them back to town. And then the stupid shoving of the fucking piano minigame down my throat. Again. 2 negatives for that. The Nibelheim Proto-Relic is a slog to deal with, as the only thing that truly keeps the side quest from triple negative territory is the Gilgamesh fight at the end of it. I really don't like this quest, as it has multiple slow plotting escorts, and it's just lame. 2 negatives. Because that's where you gotta follow the robed guys. It sucks. Then there's the 1v1 against Joker and the side quest Sand and Circuses. which is just easily fallible. Then there's the amount of time, investment, and patience you need for a love of chocobo racing, and then there's the amount of time investment, patience, and need for a love of chocobo racing. He's seeing. That should say amount of needed time investment, patience, and love for chocobo racing. Love of chocobo racing, which easily make Gold Cup or Bust the worst minigame in the entire game. Or side quest. That should say side quest, because that's a side quest. I have better things to do with my life. And as such, and I even say it properly later, in the side, the side quest is a triple negative. Here we go. The final cack to our minigame round is Aerith cheats. The giant gold assholes take way too fucking long to deal with, and there is barely enough time to get the lowest rank. Triple negative there. Also, this in round 3 take until after the second gold saucer visit to complete, which is at the end of chapter 12, when we got the buggy in chapter 9. Yeah, triple negative for that crap. Then there's the triple negative I gave the Temple of the Ancients, which pains me to say it, but the longer the Temple of the Ancients dragged on, the more I just wanted it to be done and over with. It takes forever to get anywhere, even if you know where the fuck you're going. The puzzles are interesting, but overstay their welcome, and those are even interrupted by random trash mobs that are mandatory and exist solely to pad out the fucking runtime. God damn it, I was really at this point hoping that this would be the last time I'd ever have to type out a triple negative. It was not. I believe there was at least like 3 or 4 left, if by that point. Genova Lifebringer was freaking annoying. And then Bizarro Sephiroth was another case of a triple negative. I hated fighting Sephiroth Reborn. He was terrible, and I hated him. And then I also gave the outro a triple negative as well, because honestly, I just felt like it didn't work. And then there's hard difficulty, which was just a whole lot of no. So there it is. Rebirth. Earth. It took me an hour and a half to get through, and that was just because I was speed running it, basically. I hate this. I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. I hated this. I hated this so much. Rebirth is not a bad game, but it's not one that I enjoyed my time with. Rebirth, Earth, if you take it as a whole, is kind of just okay. It's got some good stuff in it, but man, some of the bad is really bad, so that's all I can say about that. So, there you go. But at least now, I can safely say that I am now done. Obviously, from YouTube's perspective, tomorrow is going to be the go live of the closing ceremony, but yeah, that's it. So until next time, this is Blue Wolf Alex of the Lore Walkers, signing out. Have a good one. Rebirth is not a bad game. I just don't like it. make it all that much.